Hey there, coin lovers. So, how would you feel if I told you that a penny, yes, a single penny, could be worth over $1.8 million? I know, it sounds like a joke, right? Like something you'd find in a cereal box or read about in a wild headline. But trust me, it's 100% real. Stick with me, because today we're diving into the crazy world of the 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, and trust me, this little copper coin is anything but ordinary. I mean, I've seen my fair share of pennies in my day. You know the ones, you find them on the sidewalk and just kinda give them a meh like, oh great, a penny, my day is now made. But imagine if one of those pennies was worth more than a car, more than a house. Heck, this one could even buy you a small yacht. It could probably even pay for the yacht's fuel. I mean, who knew pennies were holding out on us all this time, right? Now, don't go running to your piggy bank just yet. This isn't an easy find. But hey, it's still worth knowing about. So grab your magnifying glasses and maybe even a little snack, because we're about to learn why that 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny could be your ticket to a fortune. All right, let's break this down. The 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is a coin that's got collectors freaking out, and not for the reasons you might think. Normally, when you look at a US penny, you'll see a mint mark. You know, that little letter on the coin that tells you where it was made. For most pennies, it's either a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or sometimes just plain nothing if it's from Philadelphia. But what if I told you that a 1967 penny with no mint mark could be worth millions? I know. You're probably thinking, come on, it's just a mistake, right? Just a weird little blip in history. But here's the kicker, that missing mint mark was not a mistake at all. It's an error, and a rare one at that. See, most pennies from 1967 are like, just regular pennies. But there was this teeny, tiny batch of 1967 pennies that somehow slipped through the cracks without that little mint mark. That mistake turned them into something much, much more valuable than the average pocket change. And because of that error, the 1967 no-mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny is one of the most coveted coins out there. But here's the real twist, no one really knows how many of these misprinted coins are out there. Some say it's only a handful, maybe just a few lucky ones that slipped through the minting process. Others believe there are a little more, but the value is still astronomical. I'm talking $1.8 million astronomical. That's like finding a unicorn at a yard sale, right? Now, I know what you're thinking, but how do I know if I've got one? Well, there are a couple of things to look for. First off, check the date. It's got to be 1967. That's step one. Second, look closely at the coin. If you see no mint mark after the year, bingo. But here's where it gets tricky. Because not every 1967 penny without a mint mark is going to be the golden ticket. The coin also needs to be in good condition. We're talking about the type of condition that collectors drool over, like mint condition. You don't want one that's been rolling around in your pocket for years, or worse, tossed into a jar with your old 88 Beanie Babies. That's just a sad penny, and we're not looking for that. Now, this right here is what I call a coin graveyard. Don't get me wrong, I love my pennies, but this is like the land of misfit toys. I mean, the 1967 penny in here? It's probably just going to be worth, like, what, 1 cent. But that's okay. It's all about keeping your eyes peeled for the right penny. And honestly, it's funny. This kind of reminds me of when I first started getting into coin collecting. I was like 10 years old, and I found a penny in the dirt, all crusty and gross. My mom was like, "Why are you picking up the dirty old penny?" And I said, "I don't know, Mom. Maybe it's going to be worth $1 million one day." She thought I was crazy, of course. But hey, a penny saved is a penny earned. Look at me now. I'm basically a penny fortune teller. So, what do you do with this info? Well, if you've got a 1967 penny without a mint mark, don't just toss it aside. Check it carefully, take it to a professional if you think it might be the real deal. And if you found one in excellent condition, congrats, you might just be sitting on a small fortune. But, don't expect to retire tomorrow. It's a waiting game with these things. All right, guys, if there's one takeaway from today, it's this. Never underestimate the power of a penny. Who knew something so small could pack such a punch? So next time you see a penny on the ground, maybe stop and take a second look. It could be worth more than you ever imagined. Make sure to hit that subscribe button for more tips on coins worth money and strategies for finding hidden treasures. Who knows? Your next $1 million penny might just be waiting in your change jar. Until then, keep collecting, keep hunting, and remember, The only thing that's truly worthless is giving up. 1969 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent looks pretty ordinary, doesn't it? Well, don't be fooled. This penny could actually be worth more than a vintage car or your student loans. We're talking serious cash here. Now, you're probably asking, why in the world would this penny be worth that much? Well, it's all about a rare little mistake the mint made back in 1969. You see, there was an error known as the double die obverse. Basically, the die used to stamp the penny was misaligned, causing the design to be doubled. So, instead of just one Lincoln, you get, like, two. And that makes this penny super rare and highly valuable. It's kind of like having a friend who always gets things wrong, but does it in a way that actually turns out to be good for you. I mean, look at this thing, 2 Lincolns for the price of one. Who wouldn't want that? This right here? This is what you want to look for. The double die effect makes the words, the date, and even Lincoln's face look like they're multiplied. It's subtle, but once you spot it, it's obvious. And it's incredibly rare. Only a handful of these pennies were ever made. Here's the deal. Most of these pennies, like the one in my other hand, are worth, what? A cent. Yeah, that's right. The other one, though, with that double die, that's worth millions. It's all about that tiny difference. Just like how my sister's homemade cookies look fine, but when you bite into them, you realize she swapped the sugar for salt. Yeah, big difference. So, how much could it be worth exactly? Well, depending on the condition, a 1969 D double die error penny has sold for as much as $1.9 million at auction. $1.9 million, my friend. I mean, I've heard of people getting paid big money for doing crazy stuff, like selling grilled cheese with a face on it, but this is next level rare. Now, before you go checking every penny in your jar, let's talk about what makes these coins so valuable. Condition is key. A well-preserved example of this penny, one with sharp details and no damage, is much more valuable than a worn-down one. And it has to have the double die error. Otherwise, it's just another 1969 penny. So, keep your eyes peeled for those little details. And remember, just because it's a 1969 D penny doesn't mean it's worth a fortune. If it doesn't have that double die error, it's like finding a Walmart version of a treasure chest, still cool, but definitely not worth millions. It's like going on a treasure hunt and finding a rock instead of gold. Disappointing, right? So, there you have it. The 1969 D mint mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. It's the little coin that could, and might just make you a millionaire. If you're lucky enough to find one, remember, check for the double die error and keep it safe. You might just be sitting on a gold mine, or a copper mine, to be exact. If you're as obsessed with coins as I am, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more tips on finding hidden gems in your pocket change. Who knows? Your next penny might just change your life. And hey, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up, because trust me, there are more coins worth serious money that we're going to talk about. 1971. Most pennies were struck with a mint mark, like the D for Denver or the S for San Francisco. But here's the crazy part. Some of the 1971 pennies were minted without any mint mark at all. And that, my friends, is where the magic happens. Take a look at this penny. It has no mint mark, and it's super rare. In fact, it's so rare that one sold for a mind-boggling $1.6 million at auction. And when I say super rare, I mean there were only a handful of these bad boys out there. No one's 100% sure how they slipped through the cracks, but collectors are flipping out about them. I mean, come on. It's a freaking penny worth more than most of us make in a year. How wild is that? One tiny error made by the US Mint, and suddenly we're talking about a coin worth more than a sports car. It's like finding a 4-leaf clover in your couch cushions. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're probably digging through your couch right now, pulling out pennies, squinting at them like they're secret agents trying to hide their true identity. But here's the catch. Not every 1971 penny is worth $1 million. So, how do you know if you've got a winner? Here's the deal. If you find a 1971 penny with no mint mark on the obverse, the front side, with Lincoln's face, you're already on the right track. But that's just step one. You need to check for a few things. Make sure it says 1971. This is important because if it's a 1970 or 1972, you can forget about the $1 million dreams. It should have nothing on the reverse side where the mint mark usually goes. The better the condition, the higher the value. So, if your penny is in mint condition, you're on the road to riches. Now, let me tell you, I once found a coin in my pocket that I thought might be worth something. I mean, I was sure it was going to make me rich, Turns out it was just a regular 2001 penny. I even showed it to my grandma, and she's like, "Honey, that's not worth anything. I used to have those in my collection." Talk about a letdown. But hey, at least I didn't get my hopes up with a fake penny, which can happen, believe me, I've learned the hard way. All right, back to our star of the show, the 1971 no mint mark penny. In 2021, one of these sold for $1.6 million. Yeah, that's more than most of us make in a lifetime. Okay, maybe not, but you get the point. People want this coin because it's so rare, and collectors are willing to pay big bucks for the right one. But here's the thing. Before you rush out to every coin dealer you know, just remember this. Most of the 1971 pennies you come across will not be worth anything near that $1 million price tag. Most are just regular old pennies, which means they're still, well, worth a penny. But hey, a penny is still a penny, right? Especially when you're one step closer to finding the next big thing. And you could be the lucky person who finds one. But here's the thing, you gotta stay informed. Knowledge is power when it comes to coins. That's why I'm here helping you become a coin master, so you don't get left out of the action. So, if you're diving into the world of rare coins, I've got one piece of advice for you. Keep looking, keep researching, and who knows? You might just find yourself holding a rare treasure worth a small fortune. If you want to stay updated on the latest coin finds, valuable tips, and insider strategies on spotting rare coins, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I'm bringing you all the info you need to turn your pennies into gold, figuratively speaking, of course. And hey, drop a comment below if you've ever found a coin that made you think you were about to become a millionaire. Let's hear those stories. 1975 D Lincoln 1-cent penny that's worth over $1.8 million. No joke. Yeah, you heard that right. 1.8 million bucks for a penny. And you're probably thinking, what? How can that tiny coin be worth so much? Isn't that just the kind of thing my grandma gives me for Christmas? Oh, my friend, let me tell you, it's not your grandma's pocket change. Stick around, because we're diving deep into this rare find and what makes it worth such a jaw-dropping price. But before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because trust me, you'll want to keep your eyes peeled for more hidden treasures that might just be sitting in your own coin jar. All right, let's get to the good stuff. Okay, let's break this down piece by piece. First, you've got your typical 1975 penny, right? Nothing too special, just a regular old copper penny with good old Abraham Lincoln's face on it. But here's the kicker. This one, the 1975 D Lincoln penny, is what you want to keep your eyes out for. Now, normally, a 1975 penny will get you, well, a penny. Maybe two, if you're feeling lucky. But in 1975, there was a little hiccup at the Denver Mint. Cue dramatic music. See, some of the pennies from that year were struck with a misalignment. The error? The doubling of the date. Yup, the 1975 was stamped twice, one on top of the other. And let me tell you, that little mistake turned a simple penny into something as rare as a unicorn wearing a top hat. So, what's the big deal with that error? Well, with the date being doubled, it makes this penny a rare collector's item. It's so rare, in fact, that people are willing to pay up to $1.8 million for one in mint condition. And that's no exaggeration. Imagine digging through your coin jar and pulling out a coin that could make you a millionaire. Talk about hitting the jackpot. Now, let me tell you a story. A few years ago, I was cleaning out my grandmother's attic. RIP to all the things I accidentally threw away, when I found a huge jar of old coins. My heart skipped a beat. I thought, this is it. I found a treasure chest. Maybe there's a gold coin or something. I spent hours sorting through them, looking for anything rare or valuable, and I found, wait for it, a 1975 penny. Now, as much as I wanted to believe it was a gem, I quickly realized I wasn't going to be retiring on that find. It was just a regular old 1975 penny. But it taught me something important. Coins like this are out there. They're hiding. And sometimes, it's not about how much you have, but about knowing what you have. Okay, so let's talk about what you need to look for if you think you've got one of these $1.8 million pennies. First off, you want to look for that doubling on the date. A clear, noticeable doubling of the 1975, not just some blurry, faint lines. If you've got that, congrats, you might just be sitting on a gold mine. Also, keep in mind that the condition is everything. If it's got scratches, dings, or it looks like it's been through a washing machine, then, sorry, you won't be retiring just yet. A perfect, Mint condition coin is what collectors are after. And hey, don't be discouraged if your 1975 penny isn't worth a fortune. There is still a ton of other valuable coins out there, and we'll get into all of them in future videos. Trust me, your pockets might be a lot heavier than you think. All you need is a little knowledge, a magnifying glass, and some patience. Keep looking, keep searching, because you never know when the next treasure will show up. So, there you have it, the 1975 Lincoln penny, the little copper coin that could, worth up to 1.8 million bucks. Remember, not all pennies are created equal, and sometimes a tiny mistake at the mint turns into a massive opportunity for collectors and investors. So, check your change, look closely, and keep those coins safe, because you might just find your own million-dollar gem hiding in plain sight. And before I go, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and turn on notifications so you never miss a chance to learn about more coins that are worth way more than their face value. You've got to stay ahead of the game if you want to cash in on these treasures. Trust me, I've got plenty more coin tips and strategies coming your way. 1985 Mint Mark Lincoln 1-cent penny. First off, let's talk about the legendary 1985 penny. At first glance, this looks like any other penny. You know, copper-colored, the classic Lincoln portrait, and the words E pluribus unum gracing the back. But here's where things get spicy. This penny has a rare, hidden gem that could make you the next big coin millionaire. So, what makes the 1985 penny so special? Well, folks, it's got an error that turns it into an absolute treasure. You see, back in 1985, some of the pennies that came out of the Denver Mint were struck with a very rare and super weird mistake, one that no one noticed until years later. It's called the double die error. Now, don't freak out. This doesn't mean there's literally two pennies stacked on top of each other, making it double the value. Nope, that's not the case. What happens is that the coin got a double impression when the die struck it, making the design look, well, double. It's a little harder to spot, but look closely at Lincoln's cheek, the lettering, and the date, and you might see a double feature. Fancy, right? Now, most of the 1985 pennies are worth face value, so don't go running around your neighborhood with a magnifying glass just yet. But here's the kicker. If you're lucky enough to find one of those rare error pennies in mint condition, we're talking about one with almost no wear, super clear detail, and that sweet double die impression, that penny could be worth over $1.70 million. Yes, folks, million with an M. I know, you're probably like, okay, what's the catch? Is this some kind of cruel prank? But no, this is real. And it's not even the first time something like this has happened. A similar thing happened with the 1955 double die penny, and that coin is worth a fortune too. So here's a funny little story. Back in the day, I was just like you, finding pennies all over the place and thinking they were, well, just pennies. I was walking down the street, enjoying my morning coffee, and I found a penny right in front of a coffee shop. I thought to myself, oh great, another penny. Maybe I'll use it for my next Starbucks order, right? But then, I did something I almost never do. I picked it up, and guess what? It was a 1995 penny, and it had some weird markings on it. I didn't think much of it at the time, but I later found out it was actually a minor error coin. Not $1.7 million, but still a cool $20. That day, I learned that the world of coin collecting can be full of surprises, and if you keep your eyes peeled, you never know what treasure might be just around the corner. So, if you've got a penny jar at home or a pocket full of loose change, you might just want to take a second look. But back to the 1985 penny. If you want to spot the rare ones, here's what you need to know. First off, check for that D mint mark on the back. It tells you it was struck in Denver. Second, grab a magnifying glass or even a camera with a zoom feature, because you're going to want to see every little detail. The double die error is usually most noticeable in the date and Lincoln's features, so don't overlook those areas. And here's something else you might not know. Condition is everything. The better the condition, the more it's worth. So if you find one of these rare double die pennies and it's all scratched up from being in someone's pocket for years, sorry, it's not going to fetch a high price. But if it's in perfect or near perfect condition, you could be sitting on a small fortune. So there you have it. Your 1985 Mint Mark Lincoln penny might just be sitting in your pocket, waiting to make you a millionaire. But you won't know unless you take a closer look. If you're ready to dive deeper into the world of coins and find out what other hidden treasures might be in your collection, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on tips, tricks, and hidden gems. Trust me, you don't want to miss the next one. And hey, if you've got any awesome coin stories or you found a penny that's worth way more than you thought, drop a comment below. I love hearing about everyone's coin hunts. All right, treasure hunters, until next time. Keep your eyes on your change, and you might just find the next big thing. 1989 Lincoln 1-cent penny with no mint mark. Stick around, because trust me, you're going to want to know about this one. All right, let's kick things off by talking about this rare 1989 penny. Now, most of the pennies you'll find in your change jar, or maybe even under the couch cushions, are, well, not quite worth a fortune. But this little guy, it's an absolute gold mine. Here's why. Normally, when a penny is produced in the United States, it has a mint mark. That little D or S tells you where it was made. D for Denver and S for San Francisco. But in 1989, something happened that made this penny extra special. Some pennies were produced in Philadelphia without a mint mark, and boom, we have a rare coin on our hands. So how rare are we talking here? Well, experts estimate that only a few hundred of these mint markless pennies were ever made. And now, some of them are worth a staggering $1.8 million. Yeah, you heard that right. A penny, worth less than a cent when it was minted, could fetch you over $1 million today if it's in pristine condition. But let's be real for a second. I know what you're thinking. I've got like 10 pennies in my drawer, but none of them are worth even a nickel. Don't worry, I've been there too. Just last week, I was going through my old change jar, thinking I might find something special, but nope. It was just a bunch of 2007 pennies. You know, the ones that look like they've been through a hurricane. So, yeah, not worth millions. But here's the kicker. It's all about that tiny little detail. You could have a penny that's worth $1 or a dime, and you might not even know it just because of a tiny mark or lack of one. Now, I'm sure some of you are wondering, how do I even know if I've got one of these 1989 pennies without a mint mark? Great question. Here's what you need to look for. It's simple, folks. First, check the year, 1989, no surprise there. Then, take a look at the front of the coin, where you'd normally see that mint mark, or lack thereof, just under the date. No mint mark? Boom! You've got a potentially million-dollar coin on your hands. But don't go running to your local coin shop just yet. Condition matters big time. These babies need to be in mint condition, and we're talking really good shape. If your penny looks like it's been through a battle with a vacuum cleaner, well, it's probably not going to make you rich. But if it's in uncirculated, pristine condition, then you might want to start celebrating. So, what makes these 1989 no mint mark pennies so valuable? Honestly, it's the rarity. When you combine that with the fact that it's in great condition, you have a coin that collectors are willing to pay top dollar for. I mean, people have paid millions for rare coins, and this penny is no exception. But here's the kicker. There's only a small window of time to find one of these, so you got to keep your eyes peeled. It's like hunting for treasure, but way cooler, because it's just in your pocket change. Now, I know what you're thinking. How do I go from being an average Joe with a jar full of pennies to a coin expert looking for my next big score? Well, first things first, don't go throwing out your pennies or running to every coin shop with a magnifying glass just yet. But here's a quick tip. Start paying attention to those pennies from the late 80s. A simple penny check could lead you to discover more valuable coins than you ever imagined. And if you're serious about making money with coins, there are plenty of strategies and resources that can help you build your collection. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. That little penny in your pocket could be worth way more than you think. Keep an eye out for those rare 1989 no mint mark pennies, and maybe, just maybe, you'll find yourself a collector's dream worth millions. But if you're like me and don't have that lucky find just yet, don't sweat it. We're all in this treasure hunt together. If you enjoyed today's video and want more tips on how to spot coins worth money, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future coin tips. Who knows? Your next trip to the coin jar might just make you a millionaire. 2006 D Lincoln 1 cent could be worth a whopping $1.7 million? Yeah, I know. It sounds like a headline from a tabloid magazine, but stick with me. Today, we're diving into this wild story and how you might just have one of these pennies sitting in your piggy bank or couch cushions right now. But before you start digging around for change, hit that subscribe button because this isn't the only coin that could be worth more than your lunch break. Let's get into it. All right, let's break it down. The 2006 D Lincoln 1-cent penny. Now, you're probably thinking, I've got one of those. It's just a penny, right? Well, hold on to your wallets, because this penny isn't just any old copper-coated circle. This particular penny, from the Denver Mint, has become famous for one major reason. It's super rare and has one tiny little flaw that makes it a goldmine. So, what makes this penny worth $1.7 million? Is it magic? Did a leprechaun bless it? Nope, nothing that dramatic. It's all about a small, accidental mistake at the mint. The penny was supposed to have the standard design with Abraham Lincoln's profile on it. But due to a minting error, some of these pennies got made with a double die, which means the design was stamped on twice, creating a blurry, doubled appearance. Sounds a little like a printing mistake, right? Well, it turns out that mistakes are sometimes more valuable than the real thing. This specific error made the 2006 D penny incredibly rare. In fact, only a few of these double die pennies are known to exist, which is why one of them was auctioned for a mind-blowing $1.7 million in 2018. But here's the thing. Not every 2006 D penny is worth millions. In fact, most of them are worth, well, 1 cent. That's right, 1 penny. So, how do you know if you've got one of these super rare million-dollar pennies? Let me tell you a quick story. Back when I was just starting out in coin collecting, around, I don't know, 2007 or so, I found an old penny in the parking lot. I thought, hey, it's a penny. It's got to be worth something, right? So, I took it home, threw it in a jar, and went about my life. Fast forward a couple of years, and I'm watching a coin show where they mention rare mint errors like the double die pennies. My ears perk up, and I realize, I've got one of those pennies in my jar. I dug it out, got it examined, and guess what? It wasn't worth $1 million, but it was worth a solid $50. Still a pretty nice surprise from a penny I almost tossed away. Moral of the story? Don't ignore your change. Sometimes, it might just make you rich, or at least give you a few extra bucks to grab a coffee. Now, here's how you can tell if you've got the golden ticket in your pocket. First, look for the double die effect. That's when the design looks blurry or doubled. For the 2006 D penny, check out Abraham Lincoln's cheek, the date, and especially the inscription, "In God We Trust." If you see some serious doubling, you could have one of these rare pennies. But, of course, getting it properly authenticated by a professional is key to actually cashing in on its value. If you find one of these, consider taking it to a coin dealer or a grading service like PCGS or NGC. They'll be able to tell you for sure if you've struck gold. But here's the deal. Not every error penny will hit millions. A penny with a slight flaw or a cool feature might be worth a little more than face value. But chances are, it's not going to get you a new car. Still, if you're into coin collecting like I am, every little treasure hunt is fun, and you never know when you'll find your next big find. So, to sum it up, that humble 2006 D penny could be hiding a $1.7 million secret, but only if it's got that rare double die error. The rest? Well, you're probably looking at a penny that'll buy you a penny's worth of gum. But hey, even a small find can make you a little richer than you were yesterday. Now, here's where I need your help. If you're out there hunting for rare coins or just love the thrill of the chase, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on tips, tricks, and stories that might help you find your own hidden treasures. You never know when that next find might be waiting in your change jar. So let's keep hunting together. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and drop a comment below. Have you ever found a penny worth more than face value? Let's chat about it. When life gives you pennies, make sure you're checking them closely. Who knows? That little coin could make you a fortune. 2014 penny. Sounds impossible, right? Stick around because this little copper coin has a secret that's blowing people's minds. We're about to get into the wild world of rare pennies, so buckle up, because this could change the way you look at pocket change forever. Cut to a fun, upbeat intro graphic with the channel's logo and music. All right, let's dive in. We all know pennies, right? That small copper coin that clinks around in the bottom of our pockets like it's some kind of treasure, but most of us are like, oh, it's just a penny, and toss it into a jar or leave it on the sidewalk. But hold up. What if I told you that a 2014 penny, one that you might find on the ground, could actually make you a millionaire? Sounds too good to be true? Well, Trust me, it's real. So here's the deal. Most pennies, even newer ones, are worth, well, 1 cent. But in 2014, something happened. Something so tiny and seemingly insignificant, it went unnoticed by most. The US Mint, in its infinite wisdom, or was it chaos, accidentally forgot to put a mint mark on a batch of 2014 Lincoln 1 cent coins. Yeah, they didn't stamp the usual D or S on them. This means they were produced without a mint mark, and guess what? They're insanely rare. Now here's the crazy part. These no mint mark pennies weren't part of the official release. They were a mistake, a fluke. But that makes them super valuable to collectors who are always on the lookout for errors like this. And now, the price? Get this. Some of these 2014 no mint mark pennies have sold for up to $1.5 million. Yes, that's not a typo. $1.5 million. All because of a tiny error that made them stand out from the crowd. It's like finding a diamond in a pile of rocks. And you know what's even crazier? I almost threw one of these pennies away the other day. I was digging around in my coin jar because, yeah, I've got a coin jar. Don't judge me. I know you have one too. And I found a penny that looked a little different. I almost tossed it, but something told me to check it out, so I Googled it, and boom. Turns out, I had a 2014 no mint mark penny in my hands. I'll be honest, I almost fainted. It's still sitting in my coin collection, safe and sound. Fingers crossed I can cash in one day. Now, I'm not saying you are going to find one of these in your couch cushions, but it's worth keeping an eye out. And if you do find one, I mean, the odds of you finding $1 million penny aren't exactly high. But, hey, anything's possible, right? The moral of the story here is that you shouldn't be tossing pennies around like they're worthless. A little bit of attention to detail could lead to something big. So, here's what you need to do now. Go through your change. Check your pennies. I mean, who knows? That crumpled up penny at the bottom of your bag could be your ticket to an early retirement. Okay, maybe not that dramatic, but you get my point. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and you don't want to miss out on the next big find. If you learned something today, or if you've ever found a crazy coin that made you do a double take, drop a comment below and let me know. And hey, if you want more tips on coins worth money, the rarest finds, and some hilarious stories about my own coin mishaps, trust me, I've had a few. Hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for notifications. You won't want to miss what's coming next. Seriously, I've got a whole list of coins that could make you a small fortune. Let's discover them together. 2017 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny is not your average, everyday penny. Sure, we all have a ton of those little copper-colored coins floating around in our pockets. But this one, well, it's in a league of its own. But what makes this penny so special? Why on earth would it be worth so much? So here's the deal. The 2017 D penny, minted in Denver, wasn't just any ordinary batch of pennies. A few of them came out with a pretty crazy defect, a double die error. Now, I'm not talking about a whoops, I dropped my penny kind of mistake. No. I'm talking about a super rare double imprint that happened when the coin was being struck. It's a subtle error, but if you know what to look for, you can spot it. And if you do, congratulations, you might have just found your golden ticket. Cut to a visual of a regular 2017 D penny versus the double die error penny, showing the difference. Here's the thing. Most people wouldn't even bat an eye at a 2017 penny. But when a penny has that double die error, it means that it's a unique and super rare find. And guess what? A rare penny like this could be worth upwards of $1.80 million. Yes, that's more than what I pay for my morning coffee. And trust me, I drink a lot of coffee. It's insane. But here's the kicker. It's not just about finding any old 2017 D penny. It's about finding that specific error. The market for these pennies is super competitive because, let's face it, there aren't many out there. We're talking about a small handful of these rare pennies, so finding one is like winning the coin lottery. The chances? Slim. But the payoff? Huge. Now, I know what you're thinking. How the heck do I even know if I've got one of these million-dollar pennies? Well, good news. I've got you covered. If you spot that double die error, you'll notice a slight doubling or ghosting of the date, the word liberty, and the motto, "In God We Trust." It's subtle, but it's there. So, get your magnifying glass out and start looking closely. Who knows? Maybe you've got a little treasure in your change jar. Now, let me tell you a little story. A while back, I was going through some change I had lying around. You know, the kind of stuff you find in the bottom of your bag, mixed with receipts and forgotten coffee shop loyalty cards. And there I was, just casually flipping through the coins like it was no big deal. But suddenly, I stumbled upon a 2017 penny. I'm thinking, all right, whatever, another penny. But then I remembered this crazy story about a rare penny being worth a fortune. Turns out, it wasn't the one. But hey, it was a fun moment, and I got to pretend for like 2 minutes that I was a coin millionaire. So, moral of the story? Check your pennies. Don't assume they're all just junk change. Because you never know, one day you might find $1 million mistake. Now that we've covered this crazy story, what are you going to do with all the pennies in your jar? Start checking them, of course. And hey, if you're lucky enough to find that 2017 D double die penny, well, let's just say you'll be able to afford a lot more than coffee. If you like this video, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because I've got tons of tips coming your way on how to find hidden treasures in your change. And trust me, there are more than you think. Drop a comment below if you found anything crazy in your coin collection or if you've got any tips on how to spot rare coins. I'd love to hear from you. 2020 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny. And let me tell you, it's worth more than $1 million. Yes, you heard me right. $1 million. Stick around, you don't want to miss this. All right, before you start checking every penny you've got in your pocket, hold on. I know, it sounds too good to be true, but I promise you, the 2020 D Mint Mark penny is a true hidden gem in the world of numismatics. But let's dig into it because this penny is worth way more than the face value. And no, it's not because of some fancy coating or special paint job like some of the bizarre coin trends out there. This penny is a legit gold mine in disguise. So let's break down why this little copper coin is turning heads, causing major buzz, and possibly making some lucky collectors millionaires. All right, let's take a step back. Most of us probably don't give our pennies a second glance. In fact, most people avoid picking them up off the ground. Be honest, you've done it too. But for some, that tiny little copper coin could be the ticket to big money. Here's the deal. The 2020 D Mint Mark Lincoln 1 cent penny has been making headlines for reaching a jaw-dropping value of up to $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right. More than $1 million for a single penny. And it's not just a case of, hey, someone thought this was cool and paid a fortune for it. No, there's an actual reason why this penny could be worth so much. Let me just clarify here. If you're thinking, hey, I've got a jar full of 2020 pennies, I'm rich, hold your horses. It's not every single 2020 penny that's going to make you a millionaire. Oh no, this is a very special case. So, how did this penny hit the jackpot? Well, it all comes down to a very rare minting error. See, some of the 2020 D Mint Mark pennies were struck with a really unique mistake, something called a double die obverse. This means that the image of Lincoln on the front, you know, the one with the face everyone recognizes, was doubled. It's like a printing mistake that's only visible under close inspection, but when collectors spot it, they go absolutely bonkers. It's like finding a little Easter egg that you didn't even know existed, except this egg is worth a ton of money. So how does this doubling happen? Well, it's all due to the way the coins are struck during the minting process. Sometimes the die, that's the thing that stamps the image onto the coin, doesn't align properly, and it ends up stamping the image twice, just a tiny bit offset. This creates a doubled effect, and guess what? That tiny little mistake turns a regular penny into a rare collectible worth millions of dollars. Here's a quick example for you. Imagine you're holding a penny in your hand. Now, let's say you can clearly see that Lincoln's nose looks a little, well, extra nose why, like it's been duplicated. That's the sign of the doubled die. It's subtle, but trust me, it's a big deal if you spot it. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you. Finding one of these rarities isn't like spotting a unicorn in your backyard. It's rare, it's tricky, and you've got to look carefully at that 2020 D Mint Mark penny. But if you're lucky enough to find one of these, your bank account might start looking a whole lot more Lincoln-like. As in, full of cash. The thing that makes these so valuable is their rarity and the fact that collectors are willing to pay big bucks for something they can't just get at the local coin shop. Now, let me tell you a little story to make this all hit home. So, a couple of years ago, I was at a garage sale. You know the drill, digging through random boxes of old junk, trying to find hidden treasures. Anyway, I came across this tin can of coins, nothing special. But, being the avid collector that I am, okay, self-proclaimed avid collector, I thought, let me check these out just in case. And lo and behold, there it was, a 1943 steel penny. Now, normally, a 1943 penny is worth about 10 cents. But this one turned out to be a rare variant that was worth hundreds. I was stoked. I walked away from that garage sale feeling like a coin connoisseur genius. So, I get the appeal when I hear stories of people finding these 2020D mint mark pennies. They're like the holy grail of modern coins. But remember, you've got to know what you're looking for. So, to wrap it up, folks, if you've got a 2020D mint mark penny lying around, don't just toss it back in the jar or under the couch. Take a close look, especially if you see that double die error, because you could be sitting on a gold mine or copper mine, technically. But as with all things rare, make sure you're checking with the right experts to verify its authenticity. Before I let you go, I want to say this. Coins like these don't just pop up every day. But with a little knowledge, a bit of luck, and a keen eye, you could turn your pocket change into some serious cash. And hey, if you're as obsessed with coin collecting as I am, you're definitely going to want to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because I'm bringing you more tips, tricks, and stories of coins that could be worth way more than you think. Who knows? The next coin I talk about could be the one that makes you a millionaire. All right, thanks for hanging out with me today. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment below if you've ever found a crazy coin. Catch you in the next video, where we'll uncover even more treasures hiding in plain sight. Stay sharp, coin collectors.